Hi, Professor. I'm on my fourth and last video on connective tissue. My name is Kimberly Gutierrez. I'm in your anatomy lab class, and we're going to start with looser areolar tissue. It is called looser areolar tissue because of its loose-looking structure of fibers and cells, which is found throughout the body. Here, of course, we have adipose tissue, otherwise known as fat. Right, our fat cells makes me chunky, right? And this is great for things like insulation, right? That way I don't get cold as easy as everyone else, right? Finally, we have reticular tissue, which can be found in our spleen as well as our lymph nodes, also throughout the body. Over here we have elastic tissue, which is made of the protein, I believe, elastin, and it can do many things. Such as its name implies, it is relatively elastic. We can find it in our ligaments, in our skin, as well as our cartilage. Over here we have dense connective tissue, which you can see is because of its dense fibers. We can find dense connective tissue in our tendons and ligaments. Here we have dense irregular tissue, which you can see it looks like it's all over the place because the fibers do face in seemingly different directions. And we can find this dense irregular tissue in structures such as, right, the layer of connective tissue in the heart. Here we have hyaline cartilage, which is embedded in ground substance, and it's very helpful for things like protection, but it is also found in the tip of our nose. Here we have elastic cartilage, as its name implies, but it can also help provide great, framework and support, such as the inside of my ear. Here is fibrocartilage, which can provide a nice cushion for my vertebral disc or my intervertebral discs. Here is blood, which is also known as a connective tissue because it does, help provide support in some instances, as well as connect tissues due to, blood going everywhere, and it can even help in regulatory factors such as high blood sugar, things like that. Of course, here is bone itself. Now, at first I was like, why would bone be considered connective tissue? But if I think about it, right, bones are connecting this to this to this to this. Therefore, it does act and serve as connective tissue, besides adding, the effect that it is our body's, structure. And then finally, we have embryonic connective tissue, which is, of course, found in embryos. Now, connective tissue has several functions. One, it does help provide a bit of a framework and support for our body, so structural support is a main function, besides protection, as well as storage. When we have fat cells, we're storing some heat, we're also storing some energy, and transportation, as we can see from the blood, and the use of other connective tissues to transport. So for one of my examples, I have, of course, the heart. Here you can see that there is loose connective tissue as well as adipose tissue. That's why some people will say fat kills if this, is compressing upon the heart. Of course, it'll compress upon blood vessels and, eventually could lead to death, right? So why do we have connective tissue here? I believe we have connective tissue. One, it provides a nice framework for the heart, but it is also, a tad bit elastic to allow your heart to pump, right? Another reason would be, I believe, for instance, protection. This is a nice layer of protection that we have from other organs, as well as, God forbid something happens and someone stabs, right? And then my last point would be to support the blood vessels. Of course, when we say things like fat can kill, if we have a lot of fat compressing our blood vessels, that's no bueno. It's pretty horrible for us, right? And this is some connective tissue that we find, of course, in the heart. Here we have dense irregular connective tissue found in the skin. Right? It is dense irregular tissue because, of course, it is not allowing all of these features of the skin to just go around floating around. It is providing a support and a bit of a framework to this area. We can also have adipose tissue in our skin, right, which will, of course, create insulation. So in the warm winter months, we're not freezing cold. Here you can see the collagen fiber bundles making up that connective tissue in the skin, that dense irregular connective tissue. Thank you again, Professor, and that is it for this video.